everyone, this is your girl Percy, Magaya, and thank you guys for tuning in and watching the show. So today, I've got amazing guests, and like I said, I'm doing things differently this time. I'm having the conversation that needs to be had when it comes to relationships, marriage, singleness, and dating. And today I've got my amazing guests here, and trust me, we are from the church, born and bred in the church, been married and divorced, and this is gonna get a bit, okay, we're gonna wait and see. I'm gonna let my guests introduce themselves. I'm gonna start to my right.
Been there, done that. Hi, my name is Taffy Chinembiri. I am a wedding
Planner. See?
Planner, not wedding founder. I'm a wedding planner at Zim Inspired.
Yes, that's fantastic. And you've been married before, right? And divorced. Can't wait to dive into your story, sis, honestly. And of course, to my left here, I was about to say to my right, I always get them wrong, you know, my left and my right, but this is my left, right? Just to confirm.
Yes.
My left. Yeah. And to my left here, I've got my favorite guest, you know, Mr. Adam.
Favorite guest.
Favorite guest, and I'm joking. You know what, this is big sis. We always do this, we quarrel all the time.
You can't tell me my favorite and say you were joking.
No, okay. Guys, as you can see, it's been a long day. But anyways, please do introduce yourself to the people.
Yes, I'm Adam. I've been married and I'm not married anymore, and I'm a pastor's kid, and I've been through the whole shame and blame game of it.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, we know it's like.
As you can tell, this is a heavy conversation. I'm trying to make light of it at the beginning because I know we've been through something that most people find to be traumatic. Some people don't even recover from this. And some people have been shamed by the church, by their friends, by their family, and they've been stuck in this rut that they can't get out of. So that's why I'm having the conversations. I feel like it's needed. You know, I'm a pastor's kid. I was born and bred in the church, been married, been divorced. It's been a journey because nothing can prepare you for divorce. I don't think anything can prepare you for that journey, right? And we just want to really talk about our experiences and just really give you guys an insight into this marriage life, because I think a lot of people are getting married without the idea of what they're saying I do too. Yeah. And I have a problem with that because I feel like there needs to be more teaching, there needs to be more time taken to people that say we want to get married, and so that to make sure that they are ready for that. So can you just tell me a little bit about your experience so we can sort of get some context when we dive into the conversation?
So I got married when I was 25, and I was a youth leader as well. So you can imagine the pressure. So as a youth leader, we were not allowed to date. Okay. So in our church, there's a culture of how you date to get married. So you date intentionally. You don't just date just for the sake of it. So when I met my ex-husband, I had to introduce him to my elders and stuff and do the whole shebang thing and everything else. And I had to actually excuse myself from the board because I'm now dating this guy and he's not from our church.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So obviously I was not leading by example. So how can I be a leader and I'm not leading by example? So I stepped down. And then obviously there were conversations that we had. Are you sure you want to get married to this guy that's not from our church? And obviously when I met him, obviously I told him the church dynamics and everything else. So looking back, I'm thinking, why was I telling him the church dynamics and not even talking about what I wanted or what I was looking for? I'm busy looking at the church. I'm scared of the church. So this is what happened. So we got married. And then 2-3 years down the line, I was shattered. Yeah. And then obviously the church will be like,
told you so.
This is what we mean when we tell you marry from the same church. Obviously, because you would understand each other and you would have vetted this guy and everything else. So obviously for them, it was like, well, Taffy, it is what it is. But obviously before then, I had to have sort of like counselors and stuff. And then they would be pushing for me to stay in the marriage. But there were things that were happening in the marriage that I couldn't stay for. And some of the things, the church were like, to them, it was sort of like, it doesn't matter. It's your husband, it's your shoe, fit in it. Right. So I'm thinking, why should I fit in this shoe that's paining me? But for them, it's in church, we don't believe in divorce. So work it out. Whether you like it or not, you're in to stay. So it was a journey.
That was loaded.
It was a journey.
But
my parents were very supportive from the word go.
I love that.
Them being elders in the church as well, you would have thought probably they'll be like, oh, you're going to embarrass us? Why are you doing this? But no, from the word go, they were very supportive. So I think probably it was an advantage to me. For me to be able to then walk out.
Oh, sis. Wow. Okay, we're gonna we're coming back to that is loaded right there. We're gonna pause on that and we're gonna get your context in regards to your marriage and what happened.
Yeah, so funny enough, I met her at work.
Okay.
But I didn't know her. I just saw her in the same, I was on like the 11th floor, she was on the 12th floor. And then I knew another person who worked there who also came to my church. And she brought her to my church. And I saw her at church. I was like, oh, she looks all right.
Yeah.
But generally, I wasn't really into her
at
the time. And then got to know each other a little bit. And then she had a child already, so she had a daughter. So my parents were like, if you're going to start dating her, you need to do it very intentionally from the beginning because there's a child involved. You can't just mess around with her and then leave her hanging with a child. So I was like, okay, cool. So this is like, say, January. And he said, by October, you need to know whether or not this is something you want to go forward with or not. So I remember the timeline and everything. So we were dating, October came, I was like, well, there's nothing wrong. So
why not?
Why not kind of thing?
Yeah.
And in my head at the time, I figured I was ready for it. And it wasn't like I was scared or anxious. I was like, oh, this, marriage is straightforward. My parents have done it for how long? How hard can it be? So then we got engaged the following year, got married the year after that. And I think she was in my church, she was baptized and everything, she was a member of our church, her family was members in our church and stuff. So that kind of made it easier, definitely, than what your experience was. Because although she wasn't born and bred in my church, people obviously got to know her while she was there. So I think the biggest issue that I had getting into it was just my reasons for wanting to get married weren't pure, but I was trying to get married to step up my life to the next phase.
You did the timeline.
Yeah, the timeline. So I was initially put on the back foot. It was like, you got to decide. And nothing really happened to make me say no. And not the worst thing, but I think the key thing was I built up a really good relationship with Magaya, my stepdaughter. So even now, I'm still her dad. Like she calls me her dad, and she's at university now. She's 19.
Serious.
But so I was there from when she was 5 to now 19. So it's like I was in love with this idea of being a dad. Being a dad to Magaya was the best thing in the world. It still is. So like I was like, how can I walk away from that? Even if I wasn't, there's some red flags here and there, but how can I walk away from that? So I think the church timeline was kind of the thing that kind of probably forced my hand a little bit and made me kind of feel like, okay, I've got to make a decision when I wasn't necessarily ready to make a decision. So that's the context of the story, getting married anyway.
Wow. Lord have mercy, Jesus. Listen, I love that we've got different stories, but they're all leading to one thing that we all have in common, which is divorce, okay? Because my story was, I was fresh out of uni. And this guy was just a nice guy. He was just a good friend to me. And, I didn't know what a husband was then because I wasn't really looking for a husband. But because of everybody's, oh my God, he's so good to you. And in the church, like he preaches, he does this. Oh, you guys will be a perfect, because I was going around as well preaching, doing that. So he was, oh my God, you guys will be the perfect couple. So that felt like, okay.
As if you're going to be preaching and praying every day in your marriage.
Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, it felt like, okay, I think this is it. And of course, we started walking towards that, and then we ended up getting married. But it was very short-lived because we were two different human beings. We were going two different paths. We were trying to combine our paths together, but it wasn't working. It just really wasn't. To the point that we lived together for about 6 months, and then for the rest of the year, we didn't live together. We were in different countries as well. And then that led to the separation, which led to the divorce. But for me, I come back to the reasoning of us getting to the point of divorce was before we got married, I know my mom tried to check and to make sure, but she's my mom, it's not, the same. But I feel like there wasn't enough analysis done to us. We were still young. And this is why I'm an advocate for people that shouldn't get married straight out of uni. You can. There's that rare that, you find the person, it happens. But it shouldn't be the sole focus, especially within the church. Because I think the dating world in the church is different to the world. In the church, you don't really date. You don't really have a boyfriend after a boyfriend after a boyfriend. That's not the culture, you know what I'm saying? That's not what we do. So normally the first guy that you tend to start dating, you always end up marrying. And I've realized the divorce rates are high in the church. Within the place where we talk on the importance of marriage and why we should stick with it, the divorce is higher within that constitution. So that's why I said there's something that's really wrong here, because I'm a pastor's kid, and I love everything about being a pastor's kid, the way I was raised, and coming up to the divorce. Honestly, that was the hardest thing to do because I was thinking, I'm going to let everybody down. I'm going to let my parents down, the church down, the community down, to the point that even when I was going through the divorce, the people left me. Just left like, There were a few, I can count the few in my hand. To the point even the bishop of the church, he was ready. He was like, we will cover you. We're ready to go to war for you. Anybody that says anything, we got you. Some pastors creating WhatsApp groups to talk about me. The word on the street is this. Nobody would come and even ask me, like, what happened? To gain understanding. But because it's the pastor's daughter that's gotten divorced, then we've got something to talk about. So that's when I realized there's an issue in the church here. Because, you know, there are people that are stuck in marriages that they will not leave because they know that because the church will crucify us if we ever divorce. So what's your take on church and divorce?
Divorce is real. Divorce is real. Marriage is real. Both of them are real. The problem is, I think it's not talked about. And we have sort of like marriage seminars. They don't preach on divorce. They don't preach on that, or they don't talk about the things that may lead to divorce. Or let's say when you are a youth, they've got youth conferences. The things that are taught there, you're not taught, the women are more taught on how to become wives or how to be mothers and
Enough
stuff.
to serve.
But the men
Yeah.
are not taught as well on how to
Be a husband.
or how to even adapt to your wife if things are not working. So it's like only the women know how to be wives, to behave in a marriage, but the men don't know. So because now you get married, you're now clashing. And at the end of the day, it's the woman has to fit in that shoe. Why should I fit in that shoe? Who said I should fit in that shoe? How about what if he's the one who's wrong? Why is it always pointed at me? So the church is always pointing to women, not to the men. So there's that needs a balance from the youth ministry up until into the marriage.
What's your take on that? That's very loaded. Wow.
Coming from experience.
Yeah.
And it's true. I think definitely the church needs to do more to prepare people for marriage. Like marriage is effectively like a death of your own self. So when you get into the altar to get married, I'm dying to myself and I'm coming alive to my wife. So it's like, are you prepared to die? Literally your whole life, the things you're passionate about, things that may have to be put to the side to make the relationship work. Are you ready to do that? And I think there's a kind of almost this kind of we've romanticized marriage to the point of it's like it's this big bubble. We're going to jump into it together and we have loads of fun and you know we're going to live together and it's going to be great. And it's like that's one side. The other side is you've got one planet of my world, her planet. They're going to come together. They're going to smash right in the middle, and whatever's left is what's left of your relationship. And it's two worlds colliding, and you're trying to hold it all together. So it's like you need to prepare them not only in terms of the domestic stuff, because it's not a woman's job to do one thing or a man's job to do one thing. You're a team. So you look at my strengths and your strength and say, I'm good at, for example, as a man, I've always washed my own clothes. So I'm good at laundry, but I'm also good at other stuff. But I'll say, babe, I'm good at that. So I'll do the washing. You're probably better with money. So you handle the money side of things. We discuss things, but I can trust you. I'll just give you the money if you want that way. But you work out your strengths, basically. And I think they need to sit down and talk to a couple of people who are getting married about the roles of men and women not being defined by the sex, but by skill set and strengths. Because that's one thing. But the other thing is also the spiritual capacity, which we talk about women submitting to the husband and stuff. But the Bible says, like, firstly, before women should be submitting, we have to love our wives.
Yes.
Like, you can love your wife into submission to the point where she ain't going to question because she's like, I trust you. I know you've got my back. I know you're supporting me. So when you're taking us on this journey, I'm not worried. So submitting is not even an issue. It's only an issue when you see a man who's not consistent in what he says and what he does. Then and the nature of a woman, which is, I would say, especially in black women, which is an amazing thing, is you can do anything and you step up to the plate anytime and do whatever you need to do. But if a man's taking his job seriously, you also let him do the job. But you're not going to let the ship sink. You're going to stand up and sail if you need to sail. So it's like, if a man is actually taking the job seriously, the woman's happy to submit to his godly need. But it's like train the men how to lead, train the men how to inspire a following behind him. Like it's not just do what I say. It's this is what God's saying for us. This is what I believe. Let's pray about it together. You tell me what you think and let's make a decision. Is that kind of?
That's what, because I was about to jump onto that submission verse. This is what probably they need to be teaching the young people before they get married. What it means to be submitted to, and what it means to submit. Because I think men then get in with this bubble in their head. You have to submit. You have to do whatever I tell you to do.
That's not submission. That's suppression.
That's what they don't know that, but it's put as if you have to submit. So
Regardless.
this is why women have to change for the man, and men don't need to change.
No.
We just need to follow the man. But then if you don't know what love is, do you even know how to love me?
And that's the other thing as well, even teaching about what love really is, because our idea of love almost is like, I fancy you, you're attractive, let's see what we can make happen here. Versus love is like, it's like, I'm willing to sacrifice my life for you. Like literally, I should be prepared as a husband to die for my wife, should the need arise. I'm not going to just put my life in jeopardy every day. But
Baby, you say you're going to die for me, okay?
so it's got to be a serious situation. But realistically, like as a man, you have to be prepared to do that. And if you're not prepared to do that for a woman, then you don't really love her. You can fancy her, you can find her attractive, you can be infatuated by her.
You're in lust with her sometimes.
But it's like the love thing is literally about what I can give to you. How can I improve your life? How can I make your life better? And I think the church, and it's not to blame the church, because the church is blamed for so much stuff.
I know.
But at the same time, if we're going to be one saying you must be married and you must do this, then we have to prepare people for marriage as well. If you're saying like this is the only route to go down, then show me the path I need to go down from 16 years old to start preparing myself to be a man, to be a husband, to be a father, to be a partner, a team leader, you know, that kind of thing. That's what the church needs to do. It's not
honestly.
It's not to blame, but we can't.
We can't, and to touch on that point, like we're saying, we're not trying to like, we're blame. This is not a blame game. Let's highlight what needs to be done, okay? So now let's look when we're getting married. We're excited. The wedding date's coming up. You're looking forward, especially for us, looking at the dress, putting everything together. It's exciting. People feed you with so much excitement for the day, and you sort of like forget the work that really needs to be done. Looking back at yourselves within that moment and looking now where you are, how would you advise yourself best if you were to, let's say you're looking at that 26-year-old, you're looking at that 25-year-old, I'm looking at that 23-year-old. How would you advise her or him before he says I do, with what you know now?
For me, it's love me first. Know what I want first. I need to know that I'm worthy before somebody can then come into my life to start probably messing me up or doing all sorts of things. That way, if anything happens, I'll know that you're not the right person for me. Just because I know how much worth I am.
So love you first.
Yeah.
So you didn't love yourself then?
I don't think I did. I don't think I did. There were so many red flags that
and you just accepted them, and you said, I'm going to go.
There were things that I tolerated that I should not have. But if I knew how much I was worth, I would never have tolerated some behavior.
When can you say you started to love yourself? When did that moment happen when you said, now I love Taffy?
After divorced. That's when I started to love myself.
The divorce triggered the love.
Yes. Because the ex-husband almost killed me. So you almost took my life.
That was the ultimate act of love to yourself, to take yourself out of that situation. Yeah,
the first time when it happened, I know you said you don't blame the church, but part of it for me, I blame the church. Because when I was trying to come out the first time, the church tried to make me go back. Fit in the shoe, it's your shoe. Think of the kids. But are you not thinking about my life as well?
Mental health.
What's going on here? The church should be there to protect me from this man. But they were not. They were telling me to go back. We had endless meetings about it. Me to go back, me to submit. But not even saying to him, do this or do that. No. It was on me. So if, let's say, they were trying to help him as well, he could have seen where he was going wrong or where he could have changed, then probably I would not be sitting here talking about a divorce. But it was all aimed at me. So part of it, I blame the church, unfortunately.
No, it's not unfortunately. That's your story. You're allowed to feel what you're feeling and say it as it is for you. That's your experience. And I'm not taking that from you, you know.
So now after the divorce, I love myself. Definitely.
And I see that.
Nobody can tell me
whatever. Girl. I love that for you.
Yeah.
Love yourself before you say I do.
Yeah.
Know yourself before I say I do. And I think a lot of women struggle with that because we have society telling us that this is what a good-looking woman looks like. This is how a good woman moves. This is what is like desirable. So a lot of women don't truly love themselves, and you end up in a situation where you're giving yourself to a man, but you don't even love yourself to the point that you're just there for the sake of, I think this is love should come to me through him, but it should flow from yourself within to him. You know, I get that.
Yeah.
And for yourself,
I would say, in terms of getting married, if you put as much time into planning your marriage as you do the wedding, the success rate. I mean, you know, a wedding plan.
Wedding plan.
Like the level of detail you go to. Like as a man, I was on the outskirts of the wedding planning. I'll be honest. Like I had a small say. Like I got to choose the colour of my suit. Well, no.
Well, we only want money from you.
Yeah, literally, that's what it was. But I guess my point is, like, when we're sitting down planning a wedding, we're thinking about the day. How do you want the day to go? What is the flow, the journey for the day, from us going from hotels to the church, cars, all this, like, everything is planned out. It's
to the
spreadsheets, time, who's going to be on call there, who you need to phone, what, everything's done. Then you get married, it's like, we'll just see what happens. And, even if
let it ride.
My experience has probably tormented me a little bit to the point of being over the top in terms of planning and stuff. But I think, like, if you're planning your life, how can you plan a wedding more than you plan your actual life? Like, how can you look at your next 10 years and not have an idea where you expect to be in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time?
True.
How can you have landmarks that will tell us that we're doing the right things in our marriage?
True.
Even if it's, you can start with nothing, it's not even having loads of money and stuff. If you've got nothing and the goal is to save £1,000 in a year, that's a goal. You work together to do it. But like, if we're saying we want to save for a house, so how do we plan to do that then? What is the vehicle that's going to get us to the saving point we want to get to? It's like that kind of planning. And if you did that and talked about the different things that you're going to do in your marriage, then you can sit down and say, actually, I don't think we're going in the same direction. I don't feel like you want the same things I want. And then it's like, oh, okay, cool. Then we don't have to get married. And we can walk away, head held high. We're all good. But I think we're so focused on the day being important, the wedding day, and everything is being perfect on the day, everything being planned out. The day after, when you wake up in the hotel, after you've had the glorious wedding night, then it's like, what do we do now? And you're both clueless. Exactly. So I think that's what I would say to myself. Like, put as much effort into planning the marriage as the wedding day.
So plan the marriage is much more important than the wedding day. And why do you think that we focus solely on the wedding? Because I feel like every person, not every person, I tell you, like most people are very much key about the day than the life.
It's because the day is the outward expression to our family and our friends of who we are. That's the one day where the spotlight is on the bride, your wife, and a bit on the husband, a little bit. But it is the wife's day. It is a woman, and I don't begrudge women that. It's your day, it's your spotlight day. But the point is, like, that is our day. Even for our families, I know, like, for being a pastor's kid, for example, my dad had a list of bishops and pastors who wanted to come to both my wedding and then my brother's wedding as well. And it's like, look, they're paying for it. It's fine. But it's like, but I don't want 50 people there who I don't know. But it's not your day. It's everyone else's day. So it's like, you have to consider all these different people's needs and how it's going to reflect on your family, on her family, all that kind of stuff. So it's like, there's so much effort put on it because you're going to be not only judged by other people, but it's going to be held up as a standard until the next one. Oh, next time someone gets married, oh, do you remember Anna got married? Oh man, or Taffy got married, and so you got to do better than that. You got to get a better suit than him, better car. That's how it's done. So culturally, anyway, I think for us, there's a lot of pressure just outwardly from families and stuff to do it a certain way. And then the planning goes over the top because they're trying to make sure we're better than the last person's wedding and stuff.
And it's a one-day experience.
Exactly.
You're celebrating your love with both families and friends. So you just want it to be all out. Of course. It's your one day. And you're just like, if we're going to spend 20 grand, that's fine. We'll work on the other 20 grand after. But how? Like what you're saying.
That's what, like when we literally spent like between about 17 grand on our wedding, right? This is 2011. And I wasn't balling. Not that I'm balling now, but I would definitely.
You're balling, ladies, now.
No. But I definitely wasn't balling then. Like I wasn't. So every time I got paid, every penny was going out to create a wedding. But the point was, like, after we got married, we had some money come in as gifts and stuff. But had we put that 17 or 18 grand whatever into our, like, that's the house sorted and our first few months of mortgage payments and all that kind of stuff sorted out. But it was like, no, we need to have the wedding first. And like, it's just a lack of wisdom.
The priorities are wrong, I think, when it comes to that.
Yeah.
I want to take you guys to a place now. You're now realizing that, okay, we're going to divorce. This is happening. Knowing that we're both, or three of us from the church, understanding the consequences that comes with that decision. Because I want to talk on this because I want to give somebody insight who is looking to get married before they even say I do, to understand that this is a commitment they have to take seriously. So they don't have to go through the moments we went through. So let's go back to that day where you're about to mention or announce, oh, I'm getting divorced, or you're going through the divorce. How did you manage to sustain your mental health through that season, and how did you manage to come out and be okay? Because a lot of people are stuck in that moment of shame, guilt, pain, and let them down. Actually, what could I have done to make it work? And they don't move on. How did you maneuver that season and transition to being okay with yourself, to love yourself, to be wanting to date again, and to literally enjoy life?
I think for me, it was, I kept reminding myself of why I left.
Yeah.
And that kept me going. And having such supportive family and friends, it also helped me. Because I think if it was just me by myself and my 2 kids, I would have gone back. Because obviously when you're now by yourself, and I had the 2 kids, and he's gone wherever he's gone, he's like, okay, because you've left me, look after the kids yourself. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I had to do what I needed to do, but because I had family and friends to support me financially, emotionally, I think that helped me to cope. And just for me to remind myself why I left, it kept me going. I was never going to go back just because of the reason why I left. So for me, it's the why.
Yeah.
It's not did I love him or did he love me?
Yeah.
It was the why. The decision that, the point of when I made that decision is the one that I stood by. I left him because of this. So because of this, I am not going back. I had to stand my ground. So this is where many people they're just scared, because you'd be thinking, okay, when I come out, who's going to support me financially? Who's going to do this for me? Because probably he was helping 50% or 60%. And now you're thinking, am I going to be able to do
as
it?
well?
Yeah. But you can. You can. It's your new life. You can. You can find your feet. You can start moving. Think of the why you left. That alone will keep you going.
Wow.
So important, the why. Because you're right, otherwise it's very easy in the dark moments of like, this is long, you know.
Yeah. And it's long.
It's long, let's just go back, man. I can deal with it, man. Let's go back. And then you go back. Anyway, that's another story. But I think I think the why is a very similar reason for me too. I think the decision wasn't mine in the beginning. I was sort of just brought to me like, I think we should end this. And I was like, okay, I'm not sure about that. I don't think that's the right thing to do. My family history is like my parents, 43 years of marriage. They're marriage counsellors. They've done TV shows on marriage counsellors, all sorts of stuff. Wow. So there's that history, and I was like, I didn't want to risk that. What's the word? The heritage of our family, the culture of our family. It's like, reputation. Yeah. So, and the other thing was being a pastor's kid, and you both know, like, people look at you as an example, and so I
put on a pedestal that we can't.
100% on a pedestal. And then I was like, well, I know of a few people in church now whose marriages are sort of on the rocks. If I jump ship, I'm giving them permission to jump ship as well. So it's like, I can't do this, man. I can't do this. But then it's like, but ultimately, I deserve to be happy. And she deserves to be happy as well, because it's not one-sided. We both deserve to be happy and have a life that we want to enjoy. So we have to do it. And I think when I came to the conclusion that I was definitely sure I was going to do it, what helped me get through it was the counselling. So I still carried on seeing a counsellor. And I still see her now, like regularly, just to check in. And the whole point of that is just to make sure that, like, I remember why I am where I am. And also she just asked me to talk through my decision to make sure I'm still clear on it. And obviously I was clear on it, but it's good to have that person talking about, because she actually did some of our marriage counselling at the end when we were trying to save it. And she saw all the stuff. So when I'm talking to her now, she's like, well, remember where you were compared to where you are today? It's just amazing to have that. But the final thing was, a couple of years after we separated, that's when I got stabbed at church when I was... So like, it was a crazy incident, but it's a long story. But basically, when I got to hospital and I almost died, like, it was all up in the air if I was going to survive or not. And when I came back around, I was like, I thought to myself, you know what, maybe if we can kind of get some kind of affinity going again, maybe it might be worthwhile trying again, because I almost died. But after I came out of the drugs, I was like, and that's not to put on her nothing. I was like to myself, Adam, you know you don't want that. Like, I'm not trying to make you happy, but like, I just know that that's not what I want. And like, having my life be put into the point where like I literally was almost dead. I was like, I know for certain now that if I wanted to go back, that would have been the moment for me to say, yeah, you know what, let me try again then. But it didn't happen. I wasn't even thinking about it. It's like, I definitely know for sure. So it wasn't even like I was doubting myself. I was thinking, like, that was like clarity. In case you're wondering, Adam, just know for certain, you ain't going back nowhere. So you're good to go kind of thing. And after that moment, literally, it was just clear as day for me. I never had to worry about it. And obviously I still see the therapist and I talk to my family and stuff, but I think the most important thing was having peace. And I think you probably said the same thing, like knowing that you're safe, and knowing that you're able to raise your children, and knowing that you're away from a situation that was damaging not only you physically but mentally. It's like now, like, why would I even consider going back to that?
Wow.
With all that you are. Why are you going to go back to that? But that self-love is what, you know.
Yeah.
That's key.
Yeah.
You know, I love everything that you guys have said. I thank you for being so vulnerable and being honest and unmasking, because I think we need to be having more of these conversations. We're going to be wrapping up, but I'm gonna say my reason for leaving was protecting him from the woman I would have became if I'd stayed with him. I would have resented him. I think our future would have not been that great because we could tell that we're not compatible. And where I was trying to go in life, where I was going in life, we were clashing. So had I stayed, I would have continued to deteriorate, and I probably would just never had chased and followed my dreams. So it might sound selfish, but I did it because when I was still very young, I was trying to get to know myself, but I did it for my mission, the purpose that God has put me on this planet. And I feel like I wouldn't accomplish that mission if I had stayed. And if I had died and gone to heaven, and God said, Percy, but I gave you this mission, would I have just said, oh, because I was staying for him? He would say, but the mission was first. So I had to make sure that the mission was first. And the mission is to, you know, like what I'm doing here, talking, the talk show, doing the empowerment, women, just being there for people that need the help that I have to give. And I'm glad, because now when I look where I'm at now, I would have never been this Percy had I stayed. So I had to rescue the future Percy and make sure that she rises and roars.
That's
and I'm glad.
amazing.
And I'm glad he's doing, I'm sure he's doing what he's doing. Then I'm happy. I don't hate him. We have no ill, whatever. You know, he's doing what he's doing. If I even told him, like, if you get married again, please, I'll give him a gift. You know, it's like, there's nothing there, but I'm glad that I am who I am today. Thank you for sharing your story. Honestly, it's been amazing and empowering. And I'm hoping that everybody that's been watching, you've learned something. So before you say I do, know what you're saying I do too. Because a lot of people are saying I do to things in the person they don't even know. They don't even know themselves. So marriages are great. We're not advocates for divorce. We're not here saying divorce, run away from your marriages, get help if you need to get help, okay? But before you say I do, my message is know what you're saying I do too. Thank you for watching. I hope this has been insightful. I am your girl, Percy Magaya, and watch out for the next episode.